After watching many different reviews online of the GPD XD, I decided I'd buy my own. I knew straight away I wanted to make a video on it, but I decided to wait a couple months instead so I could form my own opinion by actually playing some games and systems. And after roughly 4 months now, I'm definitely ready to share my own opinions on the review, but with that out of the way, let's start. So to start off this review, if you don't know what it is, it's an Android tablet shaped like a 3DS. It makes it so much easier. Because it's running Android, you can download as many emulators as you'd like, and obviously with a clamshell design and the buttons, dual analog sticks, it makes playing games so much easier. This is the Plus model. They do have an old one just called the GPD XD, but the Plus is just more powerful, more RAM, has Bluetooth connectivity, better battery life, so I'll just recommend getting a Plus if you can. Go over some of the stats. 6000 mAh battery, that is very good for a system like this. If you're playing older games, it's going to last for ages. 720p screen, not the best you could hope for, but that's what the Switch has and it works perfectly, especially if you're playing the older games like I am. It don't make this perfect. 32 gig of internal storage. Obviously, as I said, you're playing the older games, they're like kilobytes, megabytes at most. It's not going to fill up that quick. I've got so many games in here, mine's fine. 4 gig of RAM, keeps it nice and quick, everything's good. If that storage isn't enough, there is an SD card slot and it can go up to 128 gigabytes if you need that many games on this thing. There is a couple things about this I actually prefer over the 3DS. For example, dual analog thumbsticks. As you can see, these are perfect for actually playing good 3D games, really anything it's helpful for. So much better than the circle pad thing the 3DS got going on, I don't like anything about that. Also like the fact that the screen doesn't click. As you can see, it's smooth and it actually stays in place. It doesn't feel loose, it don't feel like it's going to fall apart. And like the 3DS being clicky, after using the GPD XD for so long, I can't go back to the way the 3DS does it. It's annoying now. On the back here you got a couple things. Good old headphone jack, SD card slot and a USB port to charge it. There also is a mini HDMI out here, so you can actually play this on the TV. I don't have a mini HDMI cable, it doesn't come with one, so I just have to play it through streaming it to the TV. But if you have a smart TV or a Chromecast or whatever, you can just stream it, and as you can see here, it works perfectly fine for me. It's a little bit of a delay streaming it, as you would imagine, and outputting it to 1080p can make some games a lag, but for Pokemon, Advance Wars, whatever, something along those lines, an RPG, JRPG, it'll be perfect. Playing on a big screen, you ain't got to worry about anything. One negative I will have to bring up about this is how long it takes to charge. I've heard this from other reviews. Apparently you can only use the USB cable that comes with the machine, which is only like 4 volts or something really low. So it takes ages to charge it, and if you try and use a higher one, it will just fry it. So I'll just keep it safe. How I charge it, plug it into my PC and just charge it that way with the wire that comes in the box. I don't know if you can risk it if you want, I don't know. And if I had to pick another downside, I would have to mention the D-pad. It is a little bit squishy. I noticed when playing Pokemon it was kind of difficult, like when I'm holding down B to run, to move directions while running was quite difficult. I did get used to it afterwards of having to like let go of, I normally like with a normal DS you could like hold up, then like move over to left, you know what I mean, to change direction, but this one you kind of have to just do it. Fully take your hand off the D-pad and do it. It's weird. It's kind of mushy. You can play fighting games with it. It is playable, but you know, just keep that in mind. It isn't as good as the normal DS, but you know, kind of over it. Now getting into more of the setup of the console, a big thing about the GPD XD is the fact that it's not a simple plug-and-play system. It took me a good couple of days of trial and error to find the best emulators, good ROMs, until I was happy with it. However, personally I see this as a positive because it felt like a project that I was working on bit by bit until I was finished. But like, I enjoyed downloading multiple launchers and emulators to see what was best fit into the console. Talking to people on forums and getting their thoughts and ideas, I can see why some would dislike this, but for me it was a very enjoyable part and it makes my GPD feel more personal to me. When you first get your GPD XD, it will come pre-installed with loads of weird games and some dodgy looking software. As you can see, I would recommend deleting most of this and downloading a fresh launcher and just starting from scratch. I say this because, as you can see, the UI that comes pre-installed has no customization, is kind of ugly in my opinion. and the emulators that come with it are nowhere near the best ones they can find on Android. For me, I use MyBoy for Game Boy, SNES 9X and Drastic for DS are just some of the ones that I use, and they've worked the best for me. The level of customization and upscaling things available on here, incredible. Have a look at a comparison of Soul Silver, for example, and all the cool filters you can apply on nearly all of these emulators. Incredible stuff you can do with this. Best emulators are not free. MyBoy, for example, is easily the best Game Boy Advance emulator, but the free version does have ads and limited saves, so I did upgrade to the paid version for about £5. I didn't mind doing this, but keep this in mind when you're buying it, because it's not just you buy at a one-off price, you're going to have to buy some emulators on top. The elephant in the room when talking about emulation is the legal grey area surrounding the piracy of the games, and with Nintendo recently destroying all the ROM sites, it is hard to get your hands on any ROMs anymore. What I had to do was actually download other people's collections that they have put up online due to the lack of trustworthy sites out there. And if you want to play it safe, I'll just download the ROMs of the games you actually own. That probably will be difficult because of all the good sites being gone, so I'd have to just talk around and try and find a way. But the upside to this is when you download other people's collections, you can stumble across countless hidden gems that you've never even considered downloading before. And I'm planning on making a video in the future about Game Boy Advance hidden gems. The vast majority I found through this system and through this method. So let's talk about what you're probably watching for. How well does it play games? Well, in short, perfectly. This thing can handle basically any 2D game you throw at it, and I would argue, right now, it's the best way available to play games from Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Game Boy, SNES, DS really. Obviously there is the eShop on the 3DS and SNES Mini, NES Mini, whatever, but none of them have the level of customization available on the GPD. It's so cool to be able to fit multiple systems' entire catalogue in my pocket wherever I go. I bought the system solely to play 2D games like the SNES, Game Boy Advance and DS, and some people will be buying it for 3D games such as the PS1 or N64. But that's where we have some issues. It does struggle a bit on the 3D games with an unmodified system. There is ways of improving the frame rates, and you can get some extremely impressive performance out of it, but I would suggest poking around in the GPD subreddit for help on this. I haven't bothered doing it since I only play 2D games on here, so I don't need to, but there are ways of doing it, so you can just have a look around. The upper limits of this thing are around the PS1 to Dreamcast. You can run a couple of those games, and PSP as well, but just be a bit wary of stuff like that. If you're looking for a way to play 2D retro games on a handheld system, the GPD XD is simply the best device in the whole world capable of that right now. Obviously, if the Switch improves the Virtual Console, things might change, but for now, the GPD is simply unbeatable for what it does. To wrap this video up, do I think the GPD XD is worth it? Well, yeah, it's the best emulation device you can buy right now. And if you want to play retro games, and even some fairly new ones, I can't recommend it enough. I personally fell in love with this system just through rediscovering some old Game Boy Advance games I used to play when I was younger. Mostly the Gen 3 of Pokemon. You can't go wrong really, it's so well, works so perfect. Even some DS games which I have but just haven't played in ages. And to have them with this new upscaled resolution, 3D rendering even better, all that stuff, it's so good. If you want to relive your childhood with these old handheld games, I would definitely recommend getting it. Anyway, thanks for watching guys. This is my first review of a system like this, so make sure to let me know if it sucks or not in the comments. I haven't made a video in about 5 months, so that's kind of crap as well. Check my Twitter out if you want. Thanks for watching, and bye.